Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Gulf Shores City Council Work Session Meeting, July the 21st. And I appreciate you being here, and I think a lot of familiar faces. This is the meeting where we talk about and get public input on the issues we'll be voting on next Monday night. So we'll be opening the conversation, and I'll ask for any questions or comments on each of these from anybody. And please tell us what's on your mind, and we appreciate you being here. Councilman discussion period, Mr. Harris.
No city business, Mayor, but I know Pastor Woods last week shared some comments. For our family, just want to thank everyone for the calls and the messaging and just the outreach and the outpour. Prayers for our family. It was felt and a great blessing. So just want to thank everyone for that. But no city business from me on that item today.
Thank you, Phil. First item on the agenda, Brandon, you have the building department amend an ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. I have actually got Jeff Jones and Brandon Hodge with me. They're two of our building inspectors that played a major role in the last few years, overseeing our safety inspections. Got a little slide presentation I want to show you. Just kind of give you an idea of, back in 2012 and 2013, we had a couple of accidents or a couple of incidents where people were injured. Here we go. And why we started the rental safety inspection program that we have. So we currently have over 4,000 short-term rental units that are available in the city of Gulf Shores. And in 2013 or 2014, we started going out and putting eyes on every one of these units. So if you have a short-term rental unit, we were going out to make sure that they were safe for occupancy, that the stairs were good, the decks were good, the rails were fine, you had adequate lighting, foundations good. This not only included our single-family homes, but it also included our condominium units. And this thing does not like me today. So again, why did we start this program? That's what the deck collapsed. A lot of college kids on it. And this was some stairs that elderly couple was walking down, and those collapsed. And this is some of the things that we're looking at, like I said, just to make sure everything's safe for our visitors that come down and not have to worry about, my grandmother going to fall and get hurt, my child going to go through the banisters, the rails. And because of this program, you can see some of the repairs that were made and some of the upgrades that have been done to make our city a better place, safer place. And there's some pilings that were repaired and replaced. These deck rails, banisters, the entire decks were actually reconstructed on this unit here as a part of our inspections. And again, there's additional decks and rails that were done at a condominium that needed upgrades that we found that were unsafe. So right now, we go out every 3 years and look at these properties. And we've now gone through 3 cycles of doing this. So first couple of cycles, we were finding everything that needed to be repaired. And second cycle, yes, still finding things that need to be done. So now we're on this 3rd cycle of repairs, and we found that really we're just going out and checking a box because of the repairs that have been made over the last 9, 11, 12 years. It's kind of taken, it's just more of a process because we've done such a great job in going out and making contacts and making sure that we're seeing things. And what we want to do is recommend that instead of going out to these units every 3 years, to go to a 5-year process. And what that will allow us to do is basically spend a lot more time looking at the common areas of our condominiums and our major areas. And that way we can focus on the structural elements more so, the things that, say, the Miami-Dade, where the condominium collapsed there. Not saying that we can prevent that, but at least it gives us more time to go out and look at those aspects of our structures more so than just walking through a condominium unit and make sure that the smoke detectors are working and that the rails and things are going. So giving us more time to spend doing that in the common areas, but yet still making sure that our units are safe and our houses are still remaining in good condition. And also, because of the way our system's set up, there are rental properties now that can still apply for their license, still pay their taxes, and it may slip through the cracks as far as having the rental license. We're sending out notices to every rental property owner that their rental safety inspection is about to expire. You have X number of days to get another safety inspection. Well, they may not do it. And we're doing this every quarter. So it's not like we're not notifying them, we're not giving them plenty of time, but still, we'd like to ask that you add a $500 fine during the renewal process for those that are basically ignoring calling us to get those safety inspections. Benefits us, but it also ensures that you start putting a $500 fine on someone, pretty much guarantee you they're going to call to get that safety inspection. So that's what we're doing. And I got Jeff Jones here just to throw out how easy we made this process for everyone. Jeff come in with the idea before he got here, we would send out the notices, and the only way to set up a rental safety inspection was to call and email our office. So you can imagine you're getting 1,000 emails, 1,000 phone calls trying to schedule safety inspections. Well, Jeff came up with the idea of actually putting it on a calendar, and now you can go on our website, click a few buttons, and it's like making a reservation for dinner. You pick the day that you want it, you pick the time that we come out, and if that time slot's available, you put your information in there, and we go out and do the inspection. So kudos to Jeff for making that easy process, not only for our property owners, but also for staff. It took a huge burden off of staff. Brandon's one, he spent this past year strictly going out, trying to bring everybody up to speed or get everybody up to date on their inspections, and he's done a fantastic job at that. And he can attest to, it's not so much as finding the problems now with the individual units as it is just going in, just checking a box. And, he's the one that we talked about it and just saying, hey, if this would give us more time to kind of look at the common areas of our major structures, and it'd be beneficial, I think, better use of our time and beneficial for everyone involved. So with that, be glad to answer any questions.
You're not talking about adding 5 years, so like if you're in your second, you got 1 year, you now have 3 years.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
and you're comfortable that we're up to speed right now. I just don't want us to get where something goes for a longer period of time than 5 years before it's inspected.
No, sir, where we have, say, 400 units that will be expiring this year, it'll just give an additional two more years, not additional 5, but just 2 more years from the expiration date.
Brandon, when a new property applies for a vacation rental business license, do we require this inspection before that license is issued? Or do they fall in, we issue the license and it fall in the cycle?
No, sir, the way it's set up right now, say you buy a property and you want to put it on the rental, short-term rental, we'll actually get a notice and we'll have to schedule an inspection before we sign off on that business license. So every property, every new property is getting inspected.
And before you impose a $500 fine, you're giving them plenty of opportunities to respond, and they got to
Mayor,
abuse it. Yeah.
Jeff will tell you, he did this a few years before Brandon come online, and trying to get some of these people to actually schedule the inspections is, better luck pulling teeth. And so no, so we're taking all kind of measures to make sure that we don't have to apply this fine.
Anybody else on council with any questions?
So we've gone through this process basically since 2015, doing this or getting it started as we pass this. So do you feel now that we've went around and got everybody up to speed so we can give them 5 years?
I do, Ms. Garrett said, I really do. I mean, when we first started this, the number of violations we found, it was unbelievable, because before this process, we issue you a C of O, certificate of occupancy for that structure. We never went back.
Yeah.
So that routine maintenance was up to the property owners. And, for whatever reason, You know, if you didn't fix your stairs, didn't fix lights, didn't have a fire extinguisher, there was no one to enforce that. So when you guys doing this in first 6 years, yes, sir, we found multiple violations, and I feel like we have made this city a lot better place to come visit.
Well, that was my main question. We didn't want to get to where something was borderline and then you're gonna go 5 years, you know, it needs to be caught now. And
Yes.
then get to 5 years, once the new stuff. comes there.
And I'll be
That's
the
all.
first to, you know, if we see that this 5 years isn't adequate to catch problems, I'll be the first to come back to you and say, hey, let's go back to 3.
Any other council? Anybody in the audience, any questions or comments? Brenda, thanks.
Thank you.
Blake?
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight is a proposed franchise agreement extension for the Hangout Music Festival. Before I get into the actual proposal of what is before you tonight, I'm just going to just run through real quickly just a very brief history of the festival for anyone who may not be aware of the history. Also kind of overview this past year's event, Stand in My Boots, which was a little bit of a new format. Also talk about some of the public feedback that we received from the community, from businesses and residents in the community following the 2025 event, and then I'll get into the details of the proposal just before you. The first Hangout Music Festival was held in 2010. This was really a partnership between the city and the producers of the festival in a very targeted and concerted effort to try to help local businesses and help extend our summer season by a full weekend. That time of the year historically was about a 25 to 30% occupancy weekend for our local community. And so this was an opportunity to really bring some people here on a weekend where otherwise they may not have been here, and it would have been pretty much a pretty slow weekend prior to Memorial Day. So that was kind of the intent of the festival. And at that time, the city made sure that the event was a multi-day event. So no single day tickets were allowed, again, in a way to try to encourage people to come to town, to spend the weekend, to just, rent lodging and make a bigger impact on our community versus driving in back and forth. And then in 2024, we began discussions with the producers of the festival about looking at a different format. That they'd had some discussions with Morgan Wallen and his team about trying a different curated event, partnering with Morgan and his team to try out something a little differently. That brings us to this past year, 2025, which was the first Stand in My Boots event, which was partnered with Morgan to curate a different lineup and rebrand the Hangout Music Festival as something a little differently called Stand in My Boots. No one really knew how that event was going to go, but we found out very quickly that there was a tremendous amount of demand for it. The event sold out in 90 minutes at a capacity of over 40,000 attendees per day. Tickets were sold in all 50 states, as well as 19 different countries around the world. And once the event took place, we really saw that this event this year brought a little bit of a different crowd. Brought a crowd that was here for more than just attending the event. They were out in the community. They were exploring our area. They were supporting our local businesses. And we saw and we have heard from the community about a very, very good and positive impact that this crowd made on our community as a whole. In round numbers, local spending this year by the festival team itself. So this is the employees, the people that were here in building the festival and producing the event, and the lodging and the goods and services that they purchased in the community was approximately $3 million that they spent just in the time that they were here. The event itself, when it was going on for the 3 days and give or take a couple of days that someone may have come in prior to the event or stayed a little bit longer after the event, direct revenue to the city in taxes and fees from the event itself was over $2 million. So you combine those, and that's just in what we can track pretty immediately. a little bit over $5 million of spending that we can track within our community. Following the 2025 event, following Sand in My Boots, that reached the end of the franchise agreement that we had with the festival at that time. And so the festival approached us wanting to talk about an extension. And Mayor, you and the City Council felt strongly that prior to having any of those real discussions, we needed to talk to the community. So we did that in 3 different ways. We sent out a survey specifically to residents that was available online, as well as to businesses. We wanted to segment those, and we asked some different questions to those groups, trying to get specific feedback from them. The resident survey, we had almost 2,000 responses to. The business survey, we had 454 responses to. So a tremendous amount of feedback that we received through both of those opportunities. And then additionally, we held, about a week after we put those surveys out, we held a community input meeting up at the Cultural Center. That event, we had around 200 people who attended that event in person. 22 people spoke out and actually came to the mic and provided their feedback personally to you and the council. 19 of those people who spoke that night were in favor of the festival, while also some people, even who were in favor, stressed the need to continue working with the festival to try to mitigate some of the concerns and the impacts on the community. So we've heard all of that feedback, and just in a nutshell, the primary feedback we were looking for was, would you support or oppose the extension of the festival based on your business experience or based on your individual experience as a resident? As you see here, the overwhelming response from both of those entities was a tremendous amount of support. In all, we had about 76% of residents responded saying that they did support extending the festival, and also about 86% of businesses who said that they supported extending the festival. So getting into the proposal that's before you tonight. This is a 1-year franchise agreement that would allow the festival to be hosted May 14th through 17th of next year, with a total site usage period from May 4th to May 21st of next year. It also provides an option to extend the agreement for 1 additional year that will allow the festival to be held May 20th through 23rd of 2027, with a total site usage period of May 10th through 27th of 2027. Both parties under this agreement would retain the sole, absolute, and unlimited discretion to determine whether to exercise this extension or not. So the city would retain that discretion in its absolute determination of whether the city wanted to move forward. The festival would hold that same opportunity. So unless both parties agreed that they wanted to extend it, it would not be extended for 1 additional year. So effectively, this is a 1-year extension with a 1-year option. Some additional details. The festival agrees that the 2025 Sand in My Boots Festival will serve as a benchmark for the type of event that we want to host in our community, to provide a very similar positive impact on our community. All terms of the previous franchise agreement will remain in full force and effect. So everything that we've negotiated in years past still remains. None of that goes away. This is above and beyond what is in that previous franchise agreement. And this short-term agreement gives both parties the ability to have good faith negotiations and discussions to determine whether we can reach a mutually agreeable terms and conditions for a future extension beyond 2026, 2027. Additionally, specifically trying to mitigate concerns for residents, there is language in this agreement that requires the festival to continually work with the city to address and mitigate the impacts on the local community, including without limitation, noise, waste, and traffic. Those are things that we've heard directly from the community. And there is language in here that requires the festival to work with us to develop solutions to try to mitigate those as reasonably as possible. The city is also going to commit that we are going to work with Gulf State Park to provide free beach parking for residents during this time frame. That's another piece of information that we've received from residents. This feedback that we've received through the survey. We heard it at the community input meeting, and we've heard it in other avenues as well. That residents want to maintain a place to be able to go to the beach easily, and so we will work with Gulf State Park to come up with a solution there that will allow our residents free parking during this time frame. And as a reminder, this proposal only grants a one-year franchise agreement, which may be extended if both parties agree that they want to do so. So that's what is before you in a nutshell, and I will answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Blake. We had one thing about the parking, and it's not just for the Hangout Music Festival. We're looking at negotiating them for the full month of May, so that the whole time that you're setting up and that you have beach volleyball and then you have the takedown, that the month of May, we would be able to park in the parking areas for our residents with stickers for free. So I think that was very much a real deep, valid response, that we've taken away the parking for a period of time for our residents. We felt like that the economic impact and the ability to go forward with the festival, and it as it currently exists, as it was in 2024, or 2025, this past year, whenever we saw what we saw with a different clientele because of different types of entertainment that fit a more mature group of people that were much better behaved. So we felt like we could negotiate that with them, and we could get parking to offset, and we could continue to allow that opportunity for our businesses and our folks that want to attend to be able to go, that could be a win-win. The concern that we had, and I still somewhat have, is 2026. 2026, they got a short time frame to put together the artists, and trying the artists that are available that have to fit this new requirement of who they're catering to. So that's a challenge. That's the reason the 2026 was something that we were making sure that if they can't do 2026, then they weren't going to get 2027. And their discussion on 2027 with no commitments to point is to go back to do something similar than what they did this year. So they're having those kind of conversations in additional. So giving them a chance to prove what they can do and try to get back to where what we had this past year is repeatable, and we can get something like that. I think at least everybody that we've talked to, the majority believe that was a better event for our community. So that's my only comments. Anybody else on the council? Anything else? Questions, comments? Anything? Yes, Angie.
Hi, Angie Sliger. I have several questions and just wanted to see if y'all wouldn't mind. I can either ask them all at one time, or we can maybe talk about them one at a time. This has been, we have the new Citizens Advisory Committee that we've been meeting, and several of the members that are on that committee are here as well. And this has been a topic of discussion. So we have some questions about the negotiations of the Hangout. So the $2 million, a little over $2 million that the Hangout makes, that goes to the city, does that go to the general fund?
Yes.
Okay. And so it states in the, we have 3% of revenue that is on the original agreement through 2021, but then it's extended through 2025. Is that also at the 3%? Or does it increase?
Grant's been,
All terms will continue, and 3% is the term, yes.
So is 3% the cap for 2026 and 2027 as well? So it just caps at
Yes.
3%? Okay. Let's see. All right. Can those funds, I'm not sure how those funds are used in the city. I would imagine it goes in the general fund, and then you make a determination on how that's spent. Is it possible to earmark those funds for something for residents? Like maybe it goes to, parks or repairs of the 4th Street Bridge, sidewalks, instruments for the school band. I feel like if it was possible for those funds to be earmarked to something, the residents are the ones that are, they have the interruption for the festival. So I feel like people would feel better about it if they knew something was coming back to the residents. So maybe something we can consider
Something more specific than just going to the general
Right.
fund to provide for all the
That
expenses.
if we know that we're making $2 million on the festival, if we know that those funds this year, they're going to be earmarked for this specific project. That way, when the festival's over, people know that they can look for that project to be completed. That's something that's actually going to happen. Let's see. So I know that we don't have control over the lineup, even as you just suggested. How do we, is there anything in the contract that guarantees that we don't go back to a hangout type format? Since Santa My Boots seem to be much more favorable, do we have any control over whether it stays that way or if it goes back to something closer to hangout?
We have made it really clear that, and again, that's the reason, 1 year, the only one we're worried about right now is 26. Can they do what they're supposed to in 26? And the motivating factor there, if you can and you do it right, we can go forward. If you don't, it's over.
Okay.
So that's the only thing we have. And
So
then
the
we told
shorter
them
term
what-
contract is going to be kind of what keeps
Yes.
everybody honest.
Yes,
Okay.
and they certainly understand what we will not go back to, that like the boom boom tent and that type of performance there that just it was not anything close to what they did this past year. And it brought a much younger, less mature crowd here that caused issues beyond, and we can't go back there.
Right.
And they understand that.
Right. Okay. And I appreciate the effort on the parking. I know that was a big concern. So, that helps a lot. Let's see. And, we were talking about the longer term extension I guess that's after 2026 and 2027. So then it discusses a longer term extension. Or so is that talking about maybe another 10-year plan, or are we trying to keep it at like the year to two?
It's open for, again, community discussion about what we do and how much, again, I think we did a real good job of talking to each other to review this past one, to understand what we liked or didn't like and how we go forward. That's the same thing we'll do going forward. My personal opinion, I don't see us doing another 10-year type deal.
Right.
That's a long time and too much changes, so
Yes.
we won't do that again, I can
Yes.
tell you.
My only other comment would be, the festival is very close to our Memorial Day weekend, which is the kickoff for our summer. And, sometimes the cleanup is complete by Memorial Day, usually not. In my personal opinion, I don't think the cleanup is to the standard that we should have for our summer guests to be coming in, and it's not quite up to par. So the only other thing I would suggest would be having something in there that makes sure that the beach cleanup is complete, the equipment's gone, that the lots that they use to stage are cleaned up for our summer guests to come in.
Anybody else? Okay, Anna?
Good afternoon. Before you for consideration is a taxi franchise request. Mr. Norbert Jennings, the owner of the Surfside Shuttle Taxi Service, has requested a taxi franchise with the city. He has met all of the requirements for the application, as well as remitting the $250 non-refundable application fee. Upon approval next Monday, he will also remit a $200 franchise fee and purchase a business license that is a minimum of $135. And then goes up based on gross proceeds. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Anna. Council, any questions, comments? Anybody? Brent?
So good afternoon. I've got two agreements for your consideration next Monday. The first is a tri-party agreement with the Alabama's Beaches Sports and Events to once again host the SSAC, which is the Southern States Athletic Conference Track and Field Championship next year in 2026 over the dates of April 20th and 21st for competition and a date for practice. We've hosted this event a number of times in the years. It's a smallish track championship, but it does bring some good impact to our community. We have ample space to be able to provide the services and the facilities to the SSAC. And this is just an agreement that works out the details with the Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Tourism, Alabama's Beaches, and the SSAC on who's responsible for what items. We've reviewed all of this, and we are happily able to provide this service to SSAC. So this is a request for the mayor to enter into a agreement with SSAC and with the CVB.
Thank you, Grant. Any questions, council? Comments? Anybody's? You got another one?
I do. On a similar line, so this is for the NCAA National Beach Volleyball Championship. It's a partner agreement with Alabama's Beaches, Sports and Events. For 9 years, we hosted successfully, partnering with the CVB, the National Beach Volleyball Championship with the NCAA. And I think y'all will remember the 2023 and 2024 event was awarded to Gulf Shores to host. 25 and 26 was to have gone to California. California was unable to host 2025 and has decided not to host 2026. And during this period of time, another bid cycle occurred, and the CVB went out to bid and was able to successfully attract the NCAA National Beach Volleyball Championship for the years 2027 through 2031. And so what this partnership agreement is a partnership with the CVB, codifying the dates for the next, from 2026 all the way through 2031, for the National Volleyball Championship to be hosted on the beaches. And it lays out a budget in an amount not to exceed $190,000 annually to be put forward by the city. And this is the amount of money that we have budgeted annually to host this event since its inception. The $190,000 is not it's a maximum amount, it is not a minimum. It could be that the minimum amount is significantly less. And the money that we are going to put into our budgets is really to help expand and improve the site, which is part of the responsibility that we have with the NCAA in order to continue to host such a premier event on our beaches. And so this event basically identifies the dates and the city's willingness to continue to work with Alabama's Beaches, Sports and Events to host the NCAA Beach Volleyball National Championships through 2031. Happy to try to answer any questions.
Do we know if they have through this entire term a contract with ESPN to televise it like they are?
I do not know that. Michelle Russ is in the audience, and so is Beth Gendler. Do we know if the NCAA has a long-term contract with ESPN to televise this all the way through 2031? Here she comes to the microphone.
Thank you, Michelle Russ, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Sports and Events and Tourism. So yes, through our memorandum of understanding, ESPN to televise this, which is a great opportunity for us to showcase our beaches on a nationally televised event. You know, in addition to that, it's the right fit for us. These collegiate athletes really showcase to our youth athletes what it looks like to be at the next level for beach volleyball, which is really awesome. It gives opportunities for our local students and organizations to fundraise through our volunteer program. And it's a nationally televised collegiate event right here in our backyard that we can all enjoy. So we're very excited about the next 6 years working with NCAA.
Thank you. ESPN does it, makes it so much more valuable to us. It's a reputational thing for us to be able to do that. There are very few cities that have an annual, I don't know how many, I wouldn't guess. I know that there are several, the men's baseball and women's softball both have long-term agreements with Omaha and some San Antonio maybe, I'm not sure who else, but that long-term relationship identifies, and I think this is fantastic. And with the ESPN continuing on there, it exposes our world to the world.
To the world. So thank you all.
Thank you, Michelle. Any other, I just called the questions. Anybody have anything else they want to comment? Anybody in the audience? Yes, please.
Yeah, can you explain to me, just explain to me where the $100,000 comes from? Where's that budget? How'd you get the money?
So the money is out of our general fund. We appropriate money for a number of different tournaments and events that we have throughout the summer and throughout the season. And so that's where that budget allocation will be identified. In years past, that money has been nearly spent as a 50-50 relationship with Gulf Shores Orange Beach Tourism, where they produce, together, we partner and produce the event. It's around a $700,000 expense to produce that event. There are revenues that offset some of that expense with ticket sales and merchandise sales and other monies that can come in, but there's still about a $500,000 worth of expenses that have to be accounted for, and that's what the money is intended to go for. So the exact amount of money doesn't necessarily equal that amount on a regular basis, it's just a commitment.
Okay, big question. Are we making money?
Ma'am, we don't make money on the National Beach Volleyball Championship, unfortunately. It's really more done for national exposure. It's for people to see our beautiful Alabama beaches in the best light possible. There is revenue that offsets some of the other expenses within taxes from the community, because each of the teams that comes to town has to rent rooms and eat food and probably buy souvenirs and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not designed similar to the music festival, which is a money maker for everybody.
Right.
This is really more reputational awareness and a marketing exposure of our community.
And I believe Michelle
wear
may
and
be able to answer that as well. If you, do you have anything to add to that? Michelle?
Yeah, one more question. Is ESPN paying us for this? I mean, if we were in California, they'd, because that's the way Californians work. Yep.
So
I think it may be appropriate to have Michelle come up and answer some of the questions.
Chief negotiator.
Exposure, that's it.
If ESPN, if somebody paid ESPN to come in, I don't think that happens. I don't think ESPN pays people. I think they,
We'll
yeah.
leave that.
Michelle Russ again. So I'd like to add that ESPN, they are here, their crews are here 10 days, paying for lodging, eating in our restaurants, and it's about 1,300 room nights over this period in early May, and about $1 million economic impact. So it's keeping our businesses full, our lodging full, our restaurants busy, and that is a true payment to all of our businesses to help them be successful and thrive. That's
Good point.
Good answer, Michelle. Anybody else on, yes, Bobby. Gotta step to the microphone, please, sir.
Just follow up on what was said, since, I have a hotel right there. And so the players, their family, they are really complimentary of the type people that we, they're spending money and they're well behaved and they're having a good time. So exactly what we want.
Thank you, Bobby.
I was gonna add a little bit more to it, Mayor. That particular week is another weekend that has hardly nobody in town leading up to Memorial Day. So this helps bring all the college volleyball parents, grandparents. I'm a grandparent. I go everywhere with my grandkids play. They come in, they spend room nights like Michelle. They eat in restaurants and do all that stuff. So it is an impact money-wise for us. It goes back into the city.
Anybody else? That's the last item on the agenda. This is the opportunity. If there's anyone has any questions or comments they'd like to address with the city, we'd love to hear from you. Yes, sir.
My name is Michael Letzler. I've been up here a couple times. I was out of town for a few weeks, but I did observe it on Facebook. Apparently you folks have a decibel meter, or a couple of them at your disposal now.
We got a decibel meter and Chief Delmore's here and his group is working that, and I don't know if he's got a report on it yet or not. Chief, got anything new to report?
Yes, sir, Mayor. The police department has purchased 3 decibel meters. Of course, they're, they are what they are. We're also gonna, everyone can argue with a decibel meter. They have to be calibrated. I've done some baseline readings, extensive baseline readings. Where do you live, sir?
Fifth Avenue.
Fifth Avenue. Okay, the other night, last Thursday night, the Velcro Pygmies were playing at the Hangout, and I was out doing readings, and I was getting baseline readings. While they were about as loud as a band maybe plays at the Hangout on a regular basis. And I was getting baseline readings out on 6th Avenue of about 40 decibels. Couldn't even hear the music from there. I'm getting baseline readings at various places when a band isn't playing, and then when a band is playing. And I just spoke with city attorney today, and we're coming up. What we're trying to do is define reasonable. As you all know, our noise ordinance basically gives a lot of latitude because it just says if it's unreasonable. So what we're trying to do is come up with a number to define reasonable, which isn't all that easy when it encompasses everything. For example, airplanes, Allegiant coming into the airport. That's going to be probably a little bit louder. So we're looking for some exceptions, some sustained noises and things like that. But the language is being worked out. We do have the meters. We are checking the businesses just to see where they are and what they're doing. And we're going to come up with something probably next council cycle.
That was, you had recommended that we give us great examples so that we
Get some meters, listen.
through, so.
I was there last night, went to the Hangout. My meter, not calibrated, but it was running anywhere from 90 to 100 decibels.
At your
roughly-
house?
No, at the Hangout,
I think.
roughly 40 to 50 feet from the stage. At my house, at the same time, we're walking down to it, I was getting roughly 60 to 65.
I just happened to have. So while the Velcro Pygmies were playing, on the south side of the Hangout, I was getting 68 to 70 there on Gulf Place. 68 to 70 down there, which is conversation. Conversation is 60 to 70. At Surf Style, I was getting 75 to 80 while they were playing. At East First, at the intersection of East First and East Beach, I was getting 68 to 71. That is just off their property, which again is right in that conversation range. And then I went over to East First Avenue, the closest residence to the Hangout. I couldn't even hear the music. We're trying to figure it out, is basically what we're doing. I think it comes, in my opinion, the reasonableness comes down to what a person experiences in their residence, or maybe at the corner of their residence, something like that, is what we can determine is what is reasonable. And it has to apply to everybody across the board, everything across the board.
Right.
So those are some of the things we're working at, and hopefully we'll have an answer here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, 'cause I can still sing to it, 3rd story bedroom, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, the music coming through the doors closed, still clear enough.
I don't know that the Hangout would be your problem there, because while they were playing on 6th Avenue, I was getting a reading of 43. That's on 6th
I
Avenue.
will happily invite you over, and
And it may not be the Hangout.
it's the Hangout.
Okay. But we have Ice House Tap Room back in there.
It's
We have Sloop.
my back porch, but it's definitely that, and I can hear both on occasion, but it's the Hangout that I can sing to.
The other thing I noticed is wind direction also impacts it a lot. So we have a lot of factors at play here.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to add something if I might. With regard to Ice House, that is a location that is, and the way they have erected their bandstand where it goes, it is north and it is over water. And everyone understands how much sound carries more over water. And there are times, I like the Ice House, but there are times I just cannot be there. If I cannot take a phone call outside or inside, that's too cotton picking loud. And I hope that we'll establish more baselines and do more work on it. Because of its location on the water, I think the Ice House Tap Room may be more of a problem than the Hangout sometimes, but they both need tamping down, in my opinion. That's me. Thank you.
We agree. I agree with Steve, but we got to find some reasonable way to measure it and react to it. We can't just be arbitrary, and neither can they. So I think we really support us working through and coming up with some measurement device, as you suggested, sir, that helps us be reasonable, but also be consistent. And we don't do one way and another something else. So we're working, because it is an issue with the noise. And we got now some opportunities to maybe manage it better. Anybody else? Anything? Yes, sir.
Mayor, council, I've
Hello,
got
Dr.
a
Aiken.
quick presentation just in case
some people think maybe educators don't do anything in the summer, which is take the summer off, but summers are certainly busy, and I think some of the busiest people are our teachers who are teaching and working in our summer camps. We have a elementary summer camp, and we also have a middle school summer camp, and then we have a high school program where kids can take electives for credit during the summer. So I just want to show you a few pictures and just let you know some of the good stuff that's going on in schools. Terrence, if you go back one more just for a second. I just put that image up just to tell a quick story. So this is a middle school student who, in his STEAM classes, they designed and built their own surfboards from scratch this year. So the last 2 days of school, they got to go to the pass and try out their surfboards. I thought that was pretty cool. Wasn't in the summer, but it's certainly a neat class. This is our elementary class. As you may or may not know that our elementary and middle summer programs partner with the Center for Ecotourism. Travis and his crew do a great job. So this is elementary at the state park and at the beach doing surfing lessons. Again, this is the same thing, elementary. So they spend a lot of time. It's not an inside summer program. We get them outside, teach them about our environment. So again, this is at another day at the state park. This is at our, again, elementary, but this is at the new Eco Center. It is a great facility. We use it during the school year and we use it every day in the summer. And so they are learning to make salads from vegetables. Not something I really know about, Kevin, but make salads from vegetables that they grow at the Eco Center.
the old vegetable salad.
That's right. Next slide. Same thing. Again, you see Travis in all these pictures. Travis is a wonderful partner, and that organization just does great work. And I know it exists because of you guys, but it does great work with all of our schools. Next is middle school. Actually, this is the high school. We call it Summer Wave Program. They can take electives. They can take science courses. So one of the electives we did this summer, or we were doing this summer, is scuba diving, where they get certified in scuba. So that's our scuba diving group. Next slide. More scuba. So just a lot of great things going on in our schools. And that is it. Kevin, you want to add anything?
Just a real thank you for the Eco Center. We are using it, as Dr. Aiken suggested, as a learning tool all year long, all 12 months. And it's a real blessing that you all made that happen. And it's adjacent to the schools, so it's a wonderful opportunity. We really enjoy it, and the partnership that we have with them has been wonderful. Just once again, thank you.
All good. Anybody? Anything?
Motion adjourned.
Is there a second?
Second.
We stand adjourned. We'll be voting on these next Monday night. Hope you'll come join us.